steps, and that's
exactly.
Thank you, members. Members, good evening.
Yes, Ramsgate steps.
Good evening, members, and welcome to this evening's Town Council. First thing, can I ask you to turn your mobile phones off or to silent, and don't use them whilst the meeting is in motion, so to speak. So moving right on, item 1, apologies.
We have apologies from Councillor Ara due to a work commitment, Councillor Nixie, a personal commitment, Councillor Hudson, a family commitment, Councillor Wing, a TDC commitment, and Councillor Dark, who's unwell.
Thank you. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest, members? No? Thank you. Right, at this juncture, instead of going to item 3, I'm going to introduce a special motion that's been brought to council by Councillor Green, and I need to ask members to suspend a particular standing order in relation to this matter. We can suspend the following order for Councillor Green's motion to be considered, and that motion is that no motion may be moved at a meeting unless it is on the agenda and the mover has given written notice of its wording to the proper officer at least 5 clear days before the meeting. Clear days do not include the day of the notice or the day of the meeting. So members, can I have a proposer, please? If there is, I'll propose it. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Hedrington, all in favour, show. Thank you. That's carried. My intention now is to pass over to Councillor Green so he can introduce his motion. Thank you.
I have circulated both the motion and the argument for it to all councillors previously, but what it's about is that RSP have put in an application for what they call a non-material change to the Manston Airport Development Consent Order. And the deadline for receipt of representations about this is Friday the 25th of August 2023. Not very long, which is why the matter has come to this council. What I'm asking for is for this council to make representation to the planning inspector concerning the what RSP are asking for. What they're asking for is for what they call a non-material change to amend the security figure that they have to put aside to pay for all the auxiliary bits and pieces around the DCO that they applied for. That includes the compulsory purchase of quite an extensive bits and pieces of land, some of which is owned by TDC, some by KCC, some by the MOD, and some by residents, including some, incidentally, on the Nethercourt estate. As well as the CPO figure, they've also had to put money aside to pay for things like noise mitigation at the airport, if it ever comes to pass. And there are other costs too. RSP are arguing that because they've already bought the land that comprises of the airport, they can afford to reduce the amount of money that they need to put aside from £13.1 million to £6.2 million. which on the face of it has some merit, I think. They also want to make another non-material change, that the time limit for exercising the compulsory acquisition powers are limited to 1 year after either the DCO comes into force or the outcome of any challenge, rather than 1 year after when the DCO comes into force and immediately after the outcome of any challenge. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is this amount that would be left in their security fund of 6.2 million. When the planning inspector looked at the DCO application, they couldn't find couldn't obtain from RSP evidence that they had enough money secured to meet these costs. Since 2019, we all know that through inflation, all these costs, land values, materials to affect noise mitigation, etc., all these costs will have increased considerably. So what I'd like and what I'm asking in this motion for the council to do is to join others that are pointing this out to the planning inspectors and suggesting that this figure, this 6.2 million, needs to be carefully looked at before being granted. I hope that explains it.
Thank you. What I'm going to do, Councillor Green, is to actually read the motion out so the public are fully aware of what it says. Okay, the motion from Councillor Green is as follows. RSP argue that because they have bought the land since the DCO was first granted, then they can reduce the amount they need to set aside to cover compulsory purchase orders of land, including that of Thanet District Council, Kent County Council and the Ministry of Defence, and schools and residents authorised by the DCO, as well as the requirement for noise mitigation and for the relocation of a caravan site. I asked Ramsgate Town Council as a consultee to put in a strong letter to protect its residents from any risk of interference to the compulsory purchase order compensation and noise mitigation measures by reducing RSP security figure to protect residents in terms of amounts available for compulsory acquisition. All the more important in the current cost of living and housing crisis, especially as the cost of noise mitigation will have increased with inflation and the general rise in building materials. The concern is that this is driven by RSP needing to service its own debts and or shareholders, if there are any, rather than meeting the requirements to make sure funds are secured for compulsory purchase land acquisition and noise mitigation for the people of Thanet. So that, members, is the motion in full. Councillor Green, would you propose your motion, please?
Well, I so propose.
Yeah. Seconder? Councillor Austin. Members, any discussion, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure it was clear. Sorry. In the labyrinth of paperwork and figures and everything else that surrounds the whole Manston history, I don't understand the bit about reducing the amount of money set aside for compulsory land acquisition. Are they saying, and I have read all of those documents, by the way, that you put a link to, that kind of helped, but not entirely. Are they saying that actually the land prices have come down, and if they do want to compulsory purchase this land, then actually it's going to cost them less? Or are they saying that actually there's not as much land they want to compulsory purchase after all? Or what are they saying? Because I kind of wasn't getting that.
They're saying that the original figure, the 13.1 million, they argued would allow them to buy the airport land itself, as well as all the other things. That's why the planning inspector was sceptical about whether they were putting enough aside. But since then, they've bought the land. So they're saying that the amount, OSP are saying that the amount they need to put aside is
6.2,
whatever it is,
6.2.
2 million rather than 13.1 million.
So to clarify,
So it doesn't make sense, really.
no, to clarify,
That's why I don't understand it.
to clarify that, bottom line is, before they bought the airport, that was the amount of money, 13 million, that they put aside to help buy the airport. Since then, they bought the airport, and because the 13.1 million was in the DCO, they bought that, so now they believe that they only need 6.1 million to cover everything else, the CPOs and everything else, because they've already bought the airport. Because that 13 million included buying the airport.
But is it not the case, Chair, that in fact they had to pay, 16 million for the airport land? Yes. And therefore the argument is they massively undervalued what they were going to need.
So they're massively undervaluing
now what
land.
compensation they're going to need to give to people, etc., to organisations and individuals.
Okay, that's making...
And if they've only got that amount of money, then they'll go, oh, well, you can't have any more than that because that's all we've got. And that's the worry.
So they could only buy half of, with the new figure that they're talking about, they could only buy half of the land that they're saying they need.
They could say, we've got to compulsory purchase this because we've got the DCO, but we can only give you 4p for it. Yeah, that kind of thing. I think that's the worry.
Rather than adequately compensate.
Rather than adequately compensating.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you, that's making more sense.
That's sort of what I was going to ask. So if they haven't got enough money to pay a market rate for whatever they want to acquire, they can just get what they like if they've got the dirt.
That's right.
Yeah, but it can be, any compulsory purchase order will be contested.
Yeah.
That's the likelihood.
Yeah.
So if they don't pay, if they're not offering the market rate, then there will be, it's a long process.
So, can I ask another question?
I think the thing that will fall off the end, if they haven't got enough money, is the noise mitigation.
Noise mitigation for
That was going to be
an individual.
Can we just stop and across? So, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I wanted to ask another one, and then Councillor Green mentioned the noise mitigation. So yes, I was concerned that would impact on the noise mitigation. And I'm just wondering about the actual wording of the letter and who's going to be writing it. And Councillor Austin's explanation made sense, and I just wondered...
I want to phrase it like that.
And I just wondered who'd be writing it and will it make sense in that way that I could understand?
Well, I think any correspondence from Ramsgate Town Council needs to come from the council, not from an individual. That will go through the town clerk together with Councillor Green, if we're happy for him to actually do that, and I think he's willing to do it, and so that makes sense to me. That's if you decide that is what you want. You haven't decided that yet. So if there's no further questions, it's been proposed and seconded. Can I see all those in favour, please? That's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David.
So now we're out of that, and we go back to the agenda. Item 3 is any public participation, public request to speak. We have none. There's no reports, as far as I'm aware, from our county councillors directly related to Ramsgate. So I shall now move on to item 4, which is minutes of the council, and that's to approve the following minutes, the 28th of June ordinary meeting. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Green, seconded. Councillor Hetherington. Anyone got any questions in relation to the minutes at all? No? Right, all in favour, please show. Thank you, that's carried. The same. It's initial reference. Thank you. Okay. That's them signed. Right, on to item 5. This matter was brought forward from the last meeting, and it's a policy and procedures. And part 1 of item 5 is to consider and approve a revised protocols and procedures for the Mayor of Ramsgate as proposed by the Mayor's PA and Town Sergeant in conjunction with the Mayor. I shall pass over to
Madam Mayor, I understand that my colleagues have gone through this document with you.
Yes, and we had some not full agreements.
Right.
That's why I said, unless this has gone into and looked at, that it's done without my signature, without my say-so, or whatever. But I can't agree to it and vote for it because I don't agree with some of it.
Right, I think I'd like to expand on that. Councillor Moore, if you could advise us what you don't agree with.
Yes.
And then let the council decide.
There's obviously priorities given to local events within Ramsgate and then Fanny and then Sinkport. For quite a while now, I believe that other mayors, which we used to have coming in and we used to visit them, are not included anymore. And we used to have twinning. And we're due to have a conversation with somebody from twinning, that's been left. And lots of people used to go and enjoy it and they used to come here.
Right. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but is twinning not part of, is that a separate matter, twin towns, than the mayoral role in itself?
I think there's usually it'll be something that the mayor would be involved in, but at the moment I understand that actually it's been a few years since there's been COVID, since there's been any activity. What I'd suggest is actually if there's conversations with our twin towns, then that can be a separate agreement, an add-on or addition, once we've figured out actually what are people receptive to doing, what would they like to do, what's the budget required for that. At the moment, anything in addition to, as you said, local Sinkports nearby is not ruled out entirely, but it's with just running it past the chair and I with an expectation so that we can consider the budget and the benefit to the office.
Yeah.
You all right with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Councillor Green.
I think it's true that the town council has to approve any twinning, but I think we've got 3 twin towns. And we always had a very close relationship with CISA. And I understand that they want to continue that relationship. So I think on that list of priorities, I assume it's a list of priorities, we should include tinning as the fourth priority on this.
I've not got a problem with that. I've got a problem with that. No? Nobody's got a problem with that? I can't see a problem with that. Can add that?
Yeah.
Can add that to it? You're all right with that?
Could I just say something about twinning? She may, I believe it's she may, through a member of Twinning, has offered the Mayor of Ramsgate an honorary thing. It's to be an honorary jurat. I don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means. No, that could be an honorary squirrel for all I know.
I think it might be like the equivalent of like a freeman, maybe, where we have.
Okay.
But that is nothing personally. It's the mayor and it's Ramsgate's.
Yeah, but until they do that, we won't. You know, it's for them to offer, so they haven't done that officially, so
No,
we can't take that into
no
consideration.
contact with them.
No, but that's the whole point, is to expand that contact, and then that will then grow. So you can then that can be added, it could be taken away, or whatever.
It was due to be done in September.
Well, if that's the case, then it will happen. If they come to us, then town clerk will deal with that. Anything else?
The mayor should not wear the mayor's chain without approval, obviously, to visit outside towns, and that will be. The mayor cannot wear the chain and badge without being accompanied by the town sergeant, which is obvious, you know, and it is the best thing to do. But it says another little bit on it somewhere that the mayor is able to wear the
Mayoress.
ribbon and badge.
Yeah.
But in discussing it, it was said that because of the cost of what I will be wearing, the town sergeant thinks I shouldn't wear it if he's not there.
Hey.
So it gets complicated.
Well, that's not complicated at all. The town sergeant is quite rightly looking after. That's his job. He's there to make sure you're safe.
Oh, he's very good.
And I know he is. And also what you're wearing is looked after as well, and that's his job. So, I mean, I think that's the right thing. And I think that is what should happen.
Yes, but what that comes down to then is the mayor doesn't do jobs if the town sergeant isn't there. I mean, if he's on holiday and he can't be there when there might be an important job on, then I can't go. Because
Christian, who's the new mayor of Broadstairs, he doesn't bother with all the ropes and chains and things. He just goes about with his badge on. And is that not acceptable?
no.
Well,
So our badge is that big.
You're thinking about when your civic regalia's in potentially six figures. There's the insurance and safety behind that.
Yeah, you just throw it all down.
Yeah.
hang on a minute, please, Councillor Green.
Traditionally, Chair, it's been the chain that's been of concern. That's got huge value. But the badge, although it probably would cost quite a bit to replace, the mayor has been allowed to go places with. But if it was me, I would want the town sergeant there for your security.
I think, I mean, personally, you know, I would want the town sergeant to be there. I mean, that's what we employ him for. And then I think, you know, if he's on leave for whatever and there's a very important thing coming up, we can work something out that would be, you know,
we then see if there's another member of staff who could step in.
Well, if other town sergeants are stepped in,
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, I've got,
Member then be on the insurance.
yeah.
Wasn't there talk of getting a replica?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is something that the town sergeant has explored and is going to bring a report to you with his thinking. It possibly doesn't mitigate the risk though, because somebody
Someone
looking
won't
at
know
it
that it's not.
is not going to know that it's a replica.
Well, it doesn't matter.
There's still a risk to the mayor
Yeah.
from being hurt.
What's happening?
Just remembering from when I was deputy mayor, there is a small rebel insignia that the deputy mayor wears, like a sort of pendant almost. I mean, has the mayor not got a pendant as well, that if you don't wear the full mayoral chain, that you can just wear the pendant that indicates that you're the mayor, but you haven't got the chain on? I mean, like Christian,
Because our badge is so big.
well, I'm suggesting we get a little smaller one then, something that wouldn't, you know, incite anybody likely to attack you, just a small sort of representative thing, like the deputy mayor's one, which is not big. It's, I mean, nobody would really notice it. You know, and that would enable you to do more events without wearing the full regalia.
You got anything else, Councillor?
On the other one, it said, mayors are completely non-political.
Absolutely.
You don't do anything political, you don't wave a banner, you don't walk anywhere, you don't sign your name.
No, it's a civic. A civic.
But I think it's not in this one.
Well, that
we'll accept it.
I don't
That is
think
what
that
happens.
that particularly has to be in here. I mean, that is, the mayor is always a civic role, and it's not a political role. So that's just a given that is the case. It doesn't have to be in black and white. That's one thing that doesn't have to be in there.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Or is it in there?
Ceremonial.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It is there.
Maybe, which page is it on?
Page 2, and it's in thick black writing. It should be noted that the civic mayor's role is ceremonial and non-political.
Because when we spoke about it in that meeting, and I said, you don't, as a mayor, you don't sign your name. If you've written something for people to read, it's by the mayor, you just put your name. And you don't put councillor underneath it, or other things.
No.
And I was like, well, that's all right, because everybody knows you're a councillor. But I think that's beside the point.
Okay, is that the amount of issues that you had? Are you happy with what's
Been said.
been said?
Yeah.
And agreed? Okay. So, members, I put this to you. Councillor Austin.
It follows on really from what we were talking about the mayor's security, but it also follows on
Our climate commitments and so on.
there's a lot of emphasis here on vehicles. I'm wondering if there's any possibility that we consider the possibility of the mayor travelling by train, for example, with the town sergeant, with the regalia in a suitable container, etc., in order to reduce our carbon footprint, which is something that we've said that we are keen to do, and it would be nice to see
Ramsgate as a trailblazer in this respect, as long as we were confident, obviously, that our mayor and town sergeant were safe.
I understand that, totally understand what you're saying, but, I mean, and that is security. The trains are a good place, normally. Up to London for I
I was thinking about local travel. I was thinking about the seaports and so on during the day. I wasn't thinking about night time and the.
Yeah, even so, I personally think what we're doing at the moment is we should be considering in the future maybe an electric vehicle horse and cart.
Horse and cart, or a bicycle, Madam Mayor, do you fancy a bicycle? Only a tandem, there we go, with baskets and the town sergeant on the front.
I'm not making light of what you said. I'm just...
No, I would be grateful if it could be minuted that I have suggested it. I realise that it may be a bridge too far at this stage, but I do think it's something we should be mindful of.
I know, fair comment. So members, all in favour of the policy and procedure in relation to Mayor? Show. Thank you. That's carried. Right, item 2 of 5 is to receive and note award allowances guidance December 2021 and consider whether the allowance should continue to roll over across the 4 years in office or whether it should be spent each year.
Thank you, Chair. This was noted at the last council meeting, but the specific question was missed. And so at the moment in the guidance, members are allowed to roll over their allowance for the 4 years. It's whether the previous council resolved for this to be reconsidered by the new council. The benefit of rolling over is that you can do bigger projects with more money. One of the things that when I first started out, I was a little concerned about is whether if everyone's spending just before an election, there could be some criticism there. But actually, that really wasn't the case prior to I mean, there's no expenditure during PERDA. But actually what we did have happen last year was there was quite a bit that remained unused because it didn't get spent in time. So I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong, but just would you like to make it an annual budget or something that can be accrued?
Councillor Crittenden?
I would like to continue with the rollover over the 4 years. I do appreciate the possibility that it could be used, saved up and spent all in one go, and that did happen last year, but it was about 6 months, I think, before the actual election, so it was maybe enough in advance, but it did happen. But yeah, I think I prefer the roll, simply because we don't know what we're going to get asked for, and sometimes we might have some of it left over. I think most of us kind of spent it, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say the councillors, Pipers and Rizaki, all saved up their ounces and they spent it all, it must have been £6,000, on a... For 3 of them, 4 years, £500 a year.
Or whatever it was.
Anyway, whatever it was. They spent it all on a church hall or something.
St Mark's, that was it.
Well, I mean, that's been and gone, Councillor Evans.
No, but you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with spending money on small projects within the year, but I like the option in case people do want to do projects. I think it's good for us to have the option in case, somebody wants to spend it that way.
Green?
Yeah, I like the idea of rolling it over, but I'd like to suggest that each year we publish what has been spent on as a reminder.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Showing it exactly what we spent the money on. Okay, Councillor Austin.
Might I suggest that maybe the Deputy Town Clerk issues reminders once we're approaching, say, 6 months before the next election, that she harangues us a bit and suggests that we need to get on and get it spent before we get anywhere near an election period.
Okay. Proposal, anybody?
Yeah, that we
Continue to roll over.
yes.
Okay. Second, Councillor Errington. All in favour, please show. Yeah, that's carried. Thank you. Item 6, representation on outside bodies, and that's to nominate 2 representatives for the Thanet Area Group. Currently, Councillor Green, I don't know what the Thanet Area Group is.
At the last meeting, You asked whether there could be two representatives, and yes, we are allowed to put two representatives forward. That's not a primary representative and a substitute, but we can have two members in the meeting. What is it?
That group is meeting of all the parish councils.
Ah, okay, okay.
Just the council there.
Okay. Right, members, anybody want to be part of that group?
How does this meet?
Memory once a month.
What does the group do?
It's all the parish councils get together and talk about stuff.
Parish activity.
And if, you know, if there's something they want to put to that district council as a collective, then that's just for, or to KCC for that matter, that's what it does, and also organise things amongst themselves.
That's great.
I wanted to just check. I think in the past we haven't been included in the group, if I think I'm right, and it has had a Westgate Birchington lean, because they're the ones that have been the most keen to be doing it. So,
Right, okay, is there anybody who wants to put themselves forward?
Oh, well done.
Thanks.
And I'll put myself forward just in case. Right, okay, we're all right with that? Okie dokie. See you there, Tone. Item 7, finances including grants. So item 1 of 7 is to receive a report of payments. The council is asked to note the payments between the 23rd of June and the 21st of July authorised by the town clerk and the finance officer, a total of 17,820 and 63 pence, and approve the payments above threshold delegated to the town clerk and RFO, which totals £23,842 and 35p.
And if members have any questions about specific payments, I would hopefully be able to answer them immediately. If not, I'll come back to you tomorrow.
Members?
Questions, I propose approval.
Seconder, please. Councillor Ebrington. All in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Carried. Right, item 2 of 7, to receive a report from Miss E. Richford and consider the grant applications contained therein from the Events Fund, Starling Support CIC and Loop in the Loop CIC, and in relation to the Ramsgate Fund, Kent Film Foundation, Montefiore Tennis Club, Brunswick Court Residential Gardening Group. Members, over to you.
Would you like me to?
If you want to look.
Right, so we have 2 applications for the Events Fund. The current balance is 8,550. The first application is for the Newington Lights Festival, being organised by Starling Support CIC, and this is to deliver a lights festival in the heart of Newington. This community-led project is split into 3 parts. 1, the creation of a community steering group which will shape the content of the festival. 2, a programme of school workshops and community-based delivery. 6 workshops in different settings, consisting of culturally diverse music, dance and lantern making workshops to broaden participants' artistic experience and celebrating diversity and civic pride. And 3, the climax will be a lantern parade taking place in the heart of Newington Estate, culminating in firework display and community celebration.
And how much are they asking for?
£4,000, and we've got 8,550 remaining.
Members? Councillor Green?
Propose that we do support it with £1,000.
With?
£1,000.
Members? Seconded? Members? Councillor,
I would prefer that we gave more to Newington than £1,000. This is quite an event. It's the first of possibly many, and we don't know when Newington misses out on funding.
I have to say that I agree with you on that. We very rarely get anything from Newington, and I think we should be a little bit more generous. But I understand why Councillor Green's come with that because of the amount.
Can I propose an amendment to that?
You can.
Propose an amendment that we.
I'm not sure that's actually an amendment.
Can I do that?
To be quite honest. I think that would be a separate. I think you need to go through the process of dealing with the current proposal, and then come in. If that fails, then come in with another one. Councillor
I also agree that I think it should be more, and in order, I think we have to go ahead with a vote under procedures.
Yeah.
1,000, and if we don't agree with it, we vote against it.
Yeah. Councillor Moore?
I propose 3,000.
No, well, we're not proposing. We're not proposing yet. So we've already got a proposal, and it's been seconded. So all in favour of giving Newington, if this Newington event, £1,000, please show. 4. Those against? That's lost. Okay, if another proposal, please, Councillor Crendon.
I'd like to propose full amount.
Full amount.
Well, we've only got 8.
We've only got 8,000 left.
Yeah, is there, well, that is a proper proposal. Is there a seconder to that? Councillor Moore. Okay. Right. Proposal is to give Newington event £4,000. Those in favour, please show.
2.
Those against? Okay, that's lost. Is there a further proposal? Councillor Austin.
I propose £2,000.
£2,000. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Hetherington. Right. All those in favour, please show. Carried. Thank you ever so much.
I would like to do a lot more, but we've got 8,550 left in the pot.
Exactly. So if we have to take that into account.
Can I ask a question? I appreciate, and I don't want to commit the Newington councillors in this particular case, but so this is a generic question. If we have offered less than the full amount, as in this case, are we allowed, and I think probably the town clerk needs to answer this, are we allowed to use any of our ward allowance?
Sure.
Well, there are rules about if something has been refused, we're not allowed to use it. Those are so confused. And I just want to know what this is. That's.
Yes, quite right. In the guidance, if the council has refused to do something, I think that's then an indication that that the council does not want to spend it, commit its funds to it. But I think when members have, there has been a commitment, there has been support for something, that if we're all on the same page, that actually adding to commitments from ward allowances should be accepted.
Yeah.
That's not meant to either of our Newington councillors. That's entirely up to them. This is a generic question.
No, absolutely. Fair comment. Okay, next one.
So the next one, also the events fund. So we've got 6,550 available, and a grant requested of 2,185 by Looping the Loop CIC for October half-term workshops and performances for all ages. And this would be to be used for 3 activities: a day with puppet maker James Frost, a day of performance with local choir and our street theatre team, and there will also be a workshop space where people can make their own lion puppet to take away.
That's green.
So there'll be 2 supporters of £1,000.
Second. Anybody want to comment? No, so I'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour, please show. Vote against? Those abstained? Thank you. And the next one, gentlemen.
Right. The next one is, so we're moving on to applications from the Ramsgate Fund now, and there is a balance of £17,520 available. The first request is from Kent Film Foundation, who are requesting £2,756. And these funds would be specifically for to update and upgrade their filming equipment, as our equipment is hardly being used whilst the organisation had to close during COVID, and then all of our trustee advisor mentors spent 2 years focusing on acquiring an asset. And they're now going back to the drawing board and need to update their kit, and will continue to be grant reliant to do this. Give you an idea of what type of kit this is. We've got 3 trail cams, 2 action cameras, 2 4K video cameras, tripods, memory cards for the aforementioned, camera bags, hard drive, radio mic. There's a lot of things that cost a couple of £100.
Members?
I'm just wondering why they need to have actually more than 1 or 2 items of type. GoPro, for example, is what most people use to make YouTubes, and most people use their phone and one GoPro, or I don't see why they need multiple things.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
What do they actually film?
I don't know.
Does anyone see the films that made you?
Well, this is one, this has been an ongoing long-term project. I mean, as far as
I haven't seen anything.
well, I don't think we've seen anything for a while, because I haven't done anything for a while, but they, this is to get, I mean, I presume it's to get them new equipment to enable them to do it, that thing. It's well run, it's well organised, and they've had a very good reputation in the past. I mean, the person who runs this is very professional. So, I mean, I am quite keen to, support it, and it would be good to get them going again, because I like the fact that it's free, and I like that people can participate and they don't like to charge for it. And they're helping with a genuine interest in career in film and the arts. So, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know who was first. Thank you, Councillor Ebbington. Councillor Austin.
I was just going to add to what Councillor Hetherington said here, that looking at the blurb that we've been presented with, it's about training young people in those skills rather than necessarily about the outcome. So we might not see a film out of it, but it might be that a number of young people have developed those.
Thank you for that. Councillor Crinton.
Listening to what Councillor Driver said, I'm not sure how it fits in, but as far as I know, this is about training young people that would want potentially to go into this as a profession. But I'm not sure.
Austin's just said.
Yeah. Well, sorry, my apologies. It's about the profession. Yeah, it's about the profession.
Okay.
I'm inclined to support it.
Anybody else got anything to say on this? Proposal, please. Proposal for anything?
Propose that we accept.
Second that. All those in favour, please show. Okay, thank you. Doom.
Next one, also from the Ramsgate Fund, Montefiore Tennis Club, who are requesting £345.60. This is to pay for 4 nets at the tennis courts that are in very poor condition. The courts are the responsibility of TDC. The Deputy Town Clerk notes that I have advised the applicant that permission would possibly be required from TDC before any work can commence. And the plan is that the nets would be put up by volunteers.
Councillor Austin.
And can we make a note that once again, councillors pay volunteers to do things that are.
Well, if they're volunteers, we won't be paying them.
Well,
We are paying through our capital funds.
Yes, I know, but I'm just saying, being pedantic, I'm sorry.
Volunteers will be installed once again.
Seconder? Councillor Eppington?
Yeah, that's,
Done?
does anyone else TDC whether they the next point?
I assume they must have done.
Well, that's up to them to have notified us that that was the case. So we've been asked the question.
That is,
Got a motion?
that is quite a, quite a.
Yes, but at the end of the day,
Do we? Well, you have had some motion tucked in the application, and I'm not aware of it, but we could say that.
we're not talking thousands of pounds here, we're talking a few £100, so let's...
I see it, but I think the process should be gone. They should check with TDC first.
Yes, I understand.
They own the course.
I agree, but at the moment, we've got this in front of us, we can deal with it. You can either turn down the proposal and then come up with another one to say that we go back to, that they go back to TDC and say, please put our nets up, give us new nets. So there is a proposal at the moment, Councillor Green.
I propose that we do support this to the tune of £345.60p.
Councillor Makinson?
I was just going to say, they asked me if I could put them up. And I said, no, I can't, because I don't know how to. And advised them what to do. But they, because it's a tennis club and they take money for people to play on these courts, I think it's quite right that the members that run it are not exactly volunteer. I know they don't take a salary out of it, but they're not exactly volunteers.
Well,
they do run it.
that isn't really the issue. The issue is do we give them the money? So all in favour, please show. Thank you.
The last application from the Ramsgate Fund comes from Brunswick Court Residents Gardening Group, who have requested £1,500. The applicant states we have 41 flats here with 5 flower beds and four large round containers. Our gardens have been neglected for a long time. Some of us have got together to tackle the beds. There is a lot of weeding to be done. It's an ongoing situation, but we are trying to keep on top of it. We don't have enough tools. We also need perennial plants, shrubs and flowers, and also bulbs. We are limited in what we can do because of the lack of tools and plants.
How much are they asking for?
£1,500.
Councillor Austin?
Just point out the difference that this group of volunteers have made to that area. It's massively,
And been encouraged by...
colleagues, of course.
Yes, indeed.
It's a brilliant idea.
Councillor Quinn?
I wanted to comment that this particular resident group, when we were first elected 4 years ago, there was a lot of discussions about getting TDC to be volunteers in the area. We funded their picking group with the purchase of equipment and our water allowance. And it's really actually brought the community together. We had someone turn up at our surgery this week and last week, and they were really pleased about how they've got people now coming down to join them and saying, how can I help? And it's really brought the block together.
I confirm that, and I've been talked to the residents. I didn't know that they put this in, but anyway, it's up to you, members. Proposal, please. Seconder? Okay. Councillor Huxley. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Those against? Against. Thank you. Right. That's item 1 done. 2 and item 2 done. Item 3 of 7, to receive a quote from Pear Technology for a digital mapping system for the entire ward, with specific mapping of the allotment sites. An example of the software in action can be found at their website. It is envisaged that this software will assist with planning matters, with tree audits, allotment inspections, etc. And TDC and KCC assets can be added as a layer. This cost could be shared across the allotment budget and new project contingency budget. Personally, I think it's a great idea.
So this is something that I'm not sure if it originally came up at F&GP or planning, but we invited Pear Technology for a presentation that Councillor Green and Councillor Makinson, myself, the allotment officer and the communications and marketing officer attended. And there's not one specific body of work that this would be beneficial for, but actually there's a lot of things that that this would be helpful for. As a council, we have a licence to have and to use maps, but we don't actually have easy access to maps. Anytime we want something, we have to buy it from Ordnance Survey, per map. Whereas actually having something that we can put different layers in for different purposes, you can zone in and get the property reference number for every property across the wards. There's quite a lot of uses that we can foresee. Within the quote, there's quite a few either-or options, and I think we need to actually get the ball rolling. It would be something that primarily Dean would be working to figure out, and it might well be something that once he learns more, it'll become apparent that we'd need to inform the data in this way or that way. I think some of the either-or costs we can't give an answer to at the moment, which way we'd need to go on some of them.
Could I just ask, could we, obviously we won't know the full cost of anything until we decide what it is that we want as a council. So could I suggest that, I mean, I think it's a cracking idea. I know what others think, but I think it's a cracking idea. And I think if we can approve this in principle, subject to it coming back to council for budgetary, depending on what it is that we get, that we decide that it is that we want. Does that make sense, or is that not make sense?
I think we could possibly do with being able to authorise them to start the process, but things like with the asset plotting, it might well be that we'll try and do it ourselves, but actually when Emma or Dean are then going into the specifics, they think, no, we're going to need to get, you're going to have to help us with that. But we need to get so far, I think, before we can figure out the answer to those questions. I mean, I think there's a few things in here that I think, actually, no, we're going to manage this in-house. We don't need to get them down for. But it could well be that things are either easier or more complicated once we get the ball rolling.
Okay, Councillor Green.
I did ask at the time whether we could incorporate things like KCC maps into our system, things like double yellow line, whatever. And they said yes, they would be able to do that. So I think this could be really useful.
I think so.
I was very impressed with it when we had the demonstration. And as an example, I tried to do the highways plan. Yeah, I marked up everywhere we wanted yellow lines on the map and sent it to KCC, who said, no, we can't have this map with your, stuff on it. And I think this would solve all sorts of problems.
Yeah. Members, any more questions, Catherine?
I think one of the advantages of this is the layering system.
speaking to someone who's recently been trying to plot postcodes on a map for some other purpose, you can do that. But then you can't superimpose the next thing that you want to compare that to. And the point about this is we can pull in whatever becomes important to us as we go along.
Sooner consultation.
To approve the desktop software with asset management to be paid from the project budget previously miscellaneous.
Yeah.
The allotment garden mapping
Yeah.
to be paid for by the allotment budget.
Yeah.
And then all of the, well, it could be this or it could be that,
Yeah.
is within then my powers of expenditure.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, proposal? Propose that, Councillor Hetherington, second. Those in favour, please, show.
Okay.
Thank you, carried. Sorry.
I was going to ask a question, but that's...
Second too late. Okay, thank you, that's item 7 done. Item 8 is project support, and this is the Thanet District Council Clock House project, which is part of the Levelling Up Fund. And the key aims of the project, as we know, we're already aware of that, blah, blah, blah. Members, I know Councillor Anders would like to say a few words on this because he's involved.
Yes, well, as you well know, I am the Ramsgate Town Council rep on the Clock House focus group. The problem is that the focus group has not met for 5 months. There's no information, there's absolutely nothing, and yet the project is moving on. And through the focus group, I am the council's link to the actual project. And there's just no information. I mean, this concept should have gone through the actual group. And the thing about it is that if you actually look when you originally started the group, it's all about community engagement. It's been far from it. It's been absolutely nothing. And it's like yesterday with the TDC announcement. The first you hear about anything is press releases. Yeah, we're in part of the focus group. There's 19 members on the focus group. And I'm just beginning to wonder now if the focus group is going to be fit for purpose in the fact that the Ramsgate Heritage Regeneration Trust are going to take over the management of the Clock House. So as to whether they're going to stick to this document remains to be seen. But then also with this exhibition concepts, when I had the talk down there the other day with the consultants, you know, in the crane building, their vision of the Clock House is completely different to what this is, you know. But I think what grates to me at the moment is that the Clock House focus group doesn't meet. I mean, I just feel as if I'm dangling on a string.
I think, sorry.
I just ask a really simple question. Why isn't it not meeting?
Well, I don't know.
Who's meant to organise this?
Well, John Walker's meant to be organising it. And then he said, oh, we haven't got the time, or because of this, or because of that, or they haven't set up the project team, or we haven't got enough information. But the point is, when you actually look at the press release yesterday, the project group has been meeting for some time. Now, you would have thought the project group would have reported back to the focus group so we had some idea what was going on.
Can I make a suggestion? And that would be for Councillor Ramadan to work with you to, before we support this, if we do support it as it is, and for that letter to be emailed to the Thanet District Council, asking exactly questions. If members think that that's a way forward, I certainly, you know, Councillor Ramadan has been highly involved in it, and I think what you're saying needs to be resolved. And so...
It's just all they need to do is talk to people. Yeah. But you see, the thing is, when they started, when we had the February meeting, the whole thing was about community engagement.
Yeah.
And you thought, well, where is it? You know.
Councillor.
Could I just add about the Ramsgate, is it Ramsgate Heritage Trust?
Heritage and design.
I was heavily involved in the initial Ramsgate Tunnels. And council then passed our interest, as it were, to the Ramsgate Heritage Trust. Once they took over, there was then no community engagement at all. So we need to be a little bit cautious about that. Other than that, I endorse what.
But I think that's right. So,
and another thing, I think this has also been rushed through because there's a few errors in it. But the thing is, I do know that the heritage lottery bid has to be in by the 18th of August.
Right.
Which is not too far away.
Well, I think if we can get an email off quick, we should get an answer quick. Go to Chief Executive and Louise Askew at TDC, and if you could...
And the cabinet member for regeneration.
You would have yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor Austin. Oh, no, it'll be... No, you're wrong. It's the leader of the council. So let's do that.
I believe the letter of support that requested is part of that left bit that's going to. Are members prepared to the letter of support?
I mean, we need to support it, otherwise we need to support it. Saying we're happy to support it, but we need an answer to this to say where is the community involved.
It's the podcast focus group.
Yeah. So if you can, if you want to whack that in an email to the town clerk, soon as you get home, tomorrow, that would be fine, and then we can whack something off to those people. Okay. Thank you, members. Part two of that is to receive a written report from town clerk, consider how to proceed with the proposal detailed therein from the Heritage LOB scheme RC. It's to do with St Pancras International.
So we've got communication from the communication and marketing manager at Heritage Lab CIC. And they've been offered the opportunity whereby SB1 is planning their next art installation for St Pancras in 2024 and has asked Heritage Lab to get involved in the project. And the plan would be to, at some point, to bring the exhibition to Ramsgate. Heritage Lab CIC are looking for partners, like, for example, Ramsgate Town Council, who would be willing to get involved in the community and artistic development side of the project. I would suggest at the moment that there is not enough information for us to say that we are partners. I think there's a concept, there's an idea in front of you, but no specific details. So I've suggested that you may wish to offer supporting principles subject to full details. And then us to consider would like a presentation from Heritage CIC or possibly a councillor or an officer delegated for linking in with them to find out more and report back. I would say though that if at any point there's a request for funding, that this should be applied for via the usual grant route.
Members? Councillor Green?
Do you think we could ask them what they see as our contribution would be?
If they're looking for any finance. Hopefully not. Councillor Green?
Yeah, just to add that I appreciate that there is a lack of information here, but it does appear to fit very well into our town promotion element of what we do. So I think if we can get more feedback from them, there is certainly something very positive for us here.
Something that the town promoter would get involved in, I would think. Councillor Makinson?
This is the same outfit that keeps asking us to pay for disabled toilets.
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah, I'll be interested.
Councillor Hetherington?
Yeah, they seem to have approached a lot of local organisations, and I'd be quite interested to find out a lot more about the managers,
Right. Are all members in agreement with that we just find out more information before we take any further?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, members. Right, item 9, summer facilities at the Western Undercliff, to receive a report from the town clerk.
So I believe this is a matter that Councillor Austin and Councillor Wing brought forward, but is supported by the ward councillor, Councillor Young.
Had requests, various specified requests from residents about it.
And it's where there are no toilets along the Western Undercliff at the moment. TDC has been approached to ask if they can provide portaloos, and TDC have said that they're prepared to facilitate this via their normal contractor, but they're unable to fund it. So we've got a quote for £2,578, and that would be for two toilets, one being an enhanced access facility, and there's daily cleaning. We don't have a budget for public conveniences, but funding could be provided via either or a combination of ward allowances and new project contingency.
Councillor Austin?
I'm happy to continue towards this
From my councillor's allowance, and I think my Central Harbour colleagues are
as well, modestly, because it's not actually our board. We don't seem quite good from our board, it is from the board.
Can I ask you,
Chair, with your other hat on, how decisions have been taken by TDC as to which portaloos to provide where, so for
example, where they've got some?
It's effectively been a first come, first served.
Which ward councillors shouted loudest in?
Well, in the earliest, and you sort of came in at the end of it, to be quite honest. But we've only, to be fair, I had to see the Section 151 officer to try and find some finance even for the ones that's gone in at Walpole Bay. So there wasn't anything else to get the money. The budget had gone. End of. So that was it. And, you know, it's something I talked to the town clerk about, to see whether we could do something from RTC in relation to this. Obviously, over the last few years, there hasn't been any toilets down there at all, is there? So we thought better than nothing to see whether we could, if you just want one, it would be a multi-access, multi-access one, and that would cut the costs.
Yeah. Might I suggest, Chair, that we ask, as a general principle with Thanet District Council, that we have rather greater transparency about the process for this in future. If there's going to be a need for portaloos in a number of different places over the school holidays, that maybe that is something that's built into the planning and that ward councillors can have a say on at an earlier stage.
What I can advise you on is that currently I'm going through, this isn't for Ramsgate Town Council, but I'm currently going through a full look at all provisions of toilets throughout, and a report will be coming to Cabinet probably in September, in relation to the way forward. Obviously, we haven't got money in this current financial year because the budget was set last year. So that is something that will be done and will be looked at. We know there is a development looked for the Western Undercliff, which will include those.
And that's why it's never really been on the agenda before.
That's why it's never
was expected.
So I thought, if there was a way that we could do it for the summer, for the kids on holiday, for down at the Western Undercliff, and for the residents as well as visitors, then this was a way forward, which I thought, let Ramsgate Town Council take the kudos for it. That's what I thought.
I would like to support this. I just have a couple of very quick questions. I note it says excluding VAT. I just wondered whether or not VAT would be chargeable or refundable, the VAT laws.
I don't know that.
And I think the town clerk is eager to. I do have a bit more to add to it after that, but yes, please.
The supplier 4Js do charge VAT. I'm not sure if TDC can claim that VAT or not.
It may well be that they will handle the VAT and just pass the net cost on to us. If they did invoice us with VAT, it's not a problem because we will then claim the VAT back. I'm not quite sure on TDC's handling, but we can claim it back.
I wanted to check. I'd like to thank Councillor Austin for offering a little bit of the ward allowance towards the cost, obviously. And I also wanted to add, it would be, I do believe that this will be very useful because I know the Western Undercliff well from childhood. But it would be quite good if we could.
Years ago.
Yeah, well, adolescence actually, because it was the teen beach back when I was a teenager. But it would be quite good to have some kind of feedback report at the end. I mean, I know that it's probably not time to set up some kind of monitoring, but if there could be some kind of community feedback or ward feedback about actually how valuable this was, research, if you like. That would be helpful. I don't know how achievable, but.
Councillor Young, did you want to say?
I feel it's quite important to have this facility because it's a long way from the bottom to the.
Oh, you've got to see. You've got to see.
That's how quick you're walking.
Yes. Completely agree.
I spent many days down there when my children were young, and the facility was there. And before they changed the road over and put the tunnel on it, we also had a tap with fresh water. So you could rinse off the kids before you took them. And when that tunnel was put in, it was promised that we would have showers. And that never
Thank you for that, Councillor Austin.
I forgot what I was going to ask, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Councillor Everinson.
I'm saying with more feedback, that would be quite easy to get because we could use it from the Mermaid group, which is over near
the regular swimmers.
400 swimmers that use that beach, myself included. We can do a survey down there and get quite good feedback.
That would be good. Yeah, I think that would be really helpful.
I think the important thing that gets lost in this sometimes is that. Sorry, Councillor Green.
Well, I was just going to ask, the provision of toilets by TDC, is that something that's considered every year?
Portaloos have been considered over the last few years since COVID, and the consideration is in relation because the state of the toilets, some of them are so bleeding bad, and that you can't open them, or people won't want to use them, and it really started in about 2019-20, I think. It's before COVID when the toilets that go down at the clock tower in Margate, we had to close them because of the damage and everything and the cost.
Let me explain. I got happy for RTC
Yeah.
to meet this year, but I wouldn't want to feel that then
Yes.
it's automatically.
No.
That's why I said.
No.
That's why I said.
There was no intention this year, from what I could see, of any toilets being down there.
No, I understand that.
So that would not be, so that's what I'm saying, we are looking at provision of these across the island.
That was why I asked about transparency, because obviously you've only just taken it as cabinet member.
That will come to cabinet because we know what we need to do.
So may I say the quote of 2,578 was based on toilets arriving on the 21st of July.
Which obviously,
Which, because I think it was actually the quote for Walpole that we're looking at. So if members did approve this cost, by the time that's relayed to TDC, I think we could deduct 2 weeks of cleaning from this bill, which would bring it just under 2,000.
Because it should be, although Mark Greening's away at the moment, it's back on Monday, and if you agree this, and then 4Js will be able to get one down there next week.
And are you going to ask for a contribution from ward councillors?
Can I just ask?
And the Western Undercliff Regeneration Group.
I was just wondering, the travellers, who pays for their toilets to be cleaned?
You do.
TDC does because.
And that's gone on for how long? Over a year?
Yeah. That's because the courts.
And there are toilets in that building, aren't there?
No.
There used to be the offices and what have you.
No, they won't use them. They wouldn't use them if they was.
Could I just add a point of information? The travellers have repeatedly offered to pay.
Yes, I understand.
And they're not, this is the information of other people, obviously you know this, Chair, but the Thanet District Council is not allowed to accept payment for the electricity, for anything, whatever, because it constitutes a contract and that changes their limits.
That changes the issue, yeah. So, did you have a proposal, Councillor Green? Did you want to propose?
Well, no, I accept that it
Okay.
the whole thing that we looked at.
Yeah. God, yeah, needs to be. Proposal then, please.
That we go ahead with this and accept any offers from the ward councillors should they be forthcoming, and the Western Undercliff Regeneration Group who have asked to contribute, and ask the Mermads if they would be willing to undertake some kind of research.
I would be, if I can, would be happy for out of my ward allowance as the chair of the council across Ramsgate to donate to that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, seconder, please. You've proposed that?
Yeah, if people are with it.
All in favour, show. Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much. Right, item 10 is the Planning and Infrastructure and Neighbourhood Plan. We've had the presentation from David Chaplin earlier at 6 o'clock this evening. For those members who weren't here, you can catch it up as well. It's been recorded, you can catch that up. And I think we're asking you for any actions to take before the Neighbourhood Plan is returned to members for approval of Planning and Infrastructure. Councillor Green.
I'd like the chance to write to David about the green.
Yeah, I think we accept that. Yeah.
And I've had a chance to make.
Yeah, so if you're happy with that, for members to come up with some suggestions that go back to David before we...
15 minutes. 15-minute districts, what we can do to reinforce the facilities that make the 15-minute districts.
Yeah. Okay with that, members? So, all in favour, can you show? Thank you very much, that's carried. Item 11, town promotion, Palms. I'll give it over to Town Clerk.
Palms remains a costly and convoluted undertaking. We had £40,000 in the budget, part of the beautification budget, for maintaining and looking after the current palms. This was based on last year's budget, but this year we've got a quote that adds up to over £23,000. The entire town beautification budget is 27,500, and there's already other commitments.
What did we pay? What did we give them last year?
I think it's about 13. So we added on a little bit extra for this year, but we're not expecting this.
Yeah. So they've come in with 10,000 more.
Yeah.
At the same time.
To kind of get the ball rolling on an idea, the town centre and tourism manager and the two lead technicians have audited and considered where all the palms are, what shape and size are they, what condition are they in, and thinking along the lines of less is more. Is there a way that the palms can be arranged where there's possibly not 40 of them, but there's still an attractive visual impact? And my colleagues have come up with a plan for a variety, with a mixture of things to stay, things to be moved, things to go into for some TLC at Radford House for maybe for a while. And we've got various questions with the nursery that we're waiting on answers for. But members are asked to consider, does the council wish to keep 40 palms on display and find the additional money that's required? Or is the council happy to reduce the number of palms in order to get this project within the approved budget? And our members are happy with the town centre and tourism manager, along with the two lead technicians, to come up with a plan with the nursery that might involve some relocation, some in-house watering, some moving things on to get it within the budget.
I'm going to propose this. That's correct.
I assume that our problem with the palms is that we can't ourselves move them.
That's it.
Otherwise, we could put up and keep them there.
Yeah. That's it.
So have we looked at how much it would cost just to move them to
So this is one of the questions with Youngs at the moment. What is the price to relocate the palms per palm within Ramsgate to give things a move around? We have also... again, that's a question that's with Youngs at the moment. There's and one of the things that also adds up is the cost of watering. The technicians cannot water the ones in the arches because you need traffic management arrangements. But I mean, part of the plan that my colleagues have put forward involves some rejigging that would allow the technicians to water. They'll be grouped in such a way that they can water them on a route.
Members, Councillor Quinn.
So when you said just now about agreeing with this, I wasn't quite sure which of the three you were agreeing with. And I just wanted to check whether or not 2 and 3 can both be agreed to or not. It sounds like 2 and 3 can both be carried forward. We did discuss the working class a couple of months ago, and there was a lot of eagerness to try and save even the most frail and poorly of them. I have been as ward councillor for Eastcliff, and I'm so half of the Palm area, been raising my concerns about some very dead and dying looking palms, and I have been drawing that to the technicians' attention and querying it. So I'm very pleased to see this, because they really are looking a bit dire, some of them. I have to admit that the plan, I find I'm struggling to visualise, so I'm totally trusting our technicians and everyone who's been involved that this is actually the best plan. But I think certainly 2 and 3, a combination of reducing the number of palms to get it within the approved budget, and for us to take in-house some of the watering and maintenance where we can. Particularly as Chair of Town Promotion, I'd like to reduce the budget, please. So that would be my position. Thank you.
Okay. Members?
Option suggested to sell some of the palms we don't want through Young's Nursery. Can we look into that?
Again, that's a question that's sitting with Young's at the moment. Because can you sell the palms for us? What might the revenue be that the council have to increase? Because I suspect, yes, you get from the money from palms, but once you're paying someone to come and relocate them for you, that would
take your profit.
Yeah.
Can I just add, I did quite like the idea of perhaps bringing some back into Radford House for ourselves to see what we can and can't do before dumping them. I know, because that's what upset other people last time, was the thought of getting rid of them.
Charlotte Court could be another kind of
safe nurturing space for a while.
Did I imagine that at one time were the parts planted with plants and not so much better?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a few with wheat at the moment.
Part of this quote is £60.80 for a top planting. But then once you do that 40 times, that's £2,432. So again, it was part of the plan to limit some of the top planting. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, members, are we okay with that? We're all right with that? Yes?
Yeah. I just thought I'd seen them on the forklift once. Do we not have a forklift? How much would it be to hire a forklift for the day?
Quite a lot.
Insurance too, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Fall off and
be
damaged.
Yeah.
Damage somebody.
Yeah.
Right, members, we okay with that? Is that a big yes? Okay, thank you ever so much. That's the end of tonight's meeting. Thank you. And the date and time of the next meeting is Wednesday the 30th of August, 2023 at 7 p.m. Only if required.